Thank you everyone for joining us today, everyone who's filtering in through the participants, and welcome to this month's Dr. Sound Academy. Let's get this started, shall we? This month, as I'm sure you're all aware, we are unveiling a new series, our IR-842 portable Voicelift speaker system. And I will just give a brief overview of what we're going to be looking at today, and then it'll be Peter take it over. So this webinar will be going over the challenges of the modern classroom and how sound and sound systems are able to sort of tackle what teachers and educators are dealing with, motivations behind the actual development of this system that we're showcasing today, and then a more in-depth look at not only the series or the system itself, but how it can be placed into the classroom and how it can address the very problems it was made for. So without further ado, Peter, if you want to take it away.
All right, I'll take control here. Okay, so developing what we learned from our R800 system. TOA has been involved with Voicelift in Classroom for, probably 10 or 15 years now. TOA's wireless classroom systems were designed for elevating education mind. The system was designed to be tailored to classroom size, therefore avoiding necessary equipment, providing optimal coverage for every installation. Originally, they started with RF and our BG series and F122, and every few years we keep expanding depending on what the needs are in that educational space. Again, continuing on developing what we've learned through the years of expertise within the space. The aim is providing ample coverage for a standard classroom, typically 30 by 30, transmitting teachers and our students' normal speaking voices to everyone in the room, from front to back, left to right, with equal clarity, with TOA's renowned superior sound quality. The resulting design was a system that promotes easily interactive communication and better stimulates students, improving their understanding of the course content overall. The other advantage to the Voicelift in Classroom and how it initially kind of going was looking at speaking fatigue from the instructors and teachers. They're up there all day talking to our youth, educating our youth. So it's a lot of strain on their voices, depending on their dynamics and how loud they are. Sometimes they have to strain to be heard over the class. The other thing related to that is, everybody does get under the weather and sick. So having that voice reinforcement allows us, the teacher to get back in the class a little bit sooner, and potentially not re-injure their voice or lose their voice, therefore resulting in failing teachers and the expense that is incurred that way. So just looking at your typical classroom, topical overview, looking down your 30 by 30 classroom, teacher desk up in the corner, and we have student desks throughout. Usually reverberant space, we get linoleum tile flooring, center blocks, sometimes walls, windows, glass, 10-foot high ceilings is your typical configuration. Coverage for the speaker for the audio system needs to be calculated generally at seated height. Students are sitting all day, so they're not standing, so you have to take that into consideration in the coverage within those spaces. So looking at the issues within your typical classroom without some form of sound reinforcement is your instructor is up front and they're speaking, and you have that energy and sound pressure level near to them. Perhaps if you're sitting in the front, you can hear quite well. Perhaps you're like me and like to hide out in the back through most of school, and maybe you can't hear so much. So there's pros and cons depending on where the students are situated. A lot of times, there's no choice. The classes are very full and jammed in there. So that's definitely a challenge within these spaces. As you can see on this graphical color chart, you get high intensity near the teacher. It drops off to the center class and very cold and weak to the rear of the classroom. As the teacher moves around, of course, that energy moves around with them. So that's why a lot of times that instructor will move it along in the space to get the engagement of the students in those areas. But as classrooms get a little bit more technical, smart boards and so on, they're kind of locked to that front area of the class to control the technology and the interactive whiteboards that reside in these spaces. So the option comes into adding sound reinforcement through that space. A system that can be placed throughout the classroom area, either via mounting or temporary placement. And that's kind of an area that TOA has not filled for many years. We're very strong in the fixed solutions, but not so much in the portable solutions. Spaces, whether irregular, can utilize either standalone or multi-unit systems to ensure every student receives the same opportunity to learn. So giving that coverage, whether in the front, back, middle, and so on, is the goal. A flexible Voicelift system for the modern classroom. While primarily designed to be a stow-and-go system, and we'll get into very specifics of the IR-842, it's been designed for multiple mounting options for longer placement. So it can be a portable that we move around, but we see a variety of applications where maybe they're fixed and it's one in the classroom up in the corner. It could be a situation where maybe it's portable for a certain instructor that moves from class to class or school to school, but maybe those requirements change and now they're going to be stationary in a certain class for extended periods of time. So a mounted option and that flexibility is built into this solution with the IR-842. So you can utilize include the C bracket for that mounting. There's also a pole mount adapter, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll get in depth with this solution, motivation behind it, and a system breakdown. So one thing to point out on the system, and I cover 6 provinces, and every province is different when it comes to Voicelift in classroom requirements or phases of integration. Certain areas are ahead in their adoption of classroom technology than other areas. Sometimes it's assessment needs, sometimes it's budgetary. Of course, anything that's fixed installed is going to have the equipment cost, and it's going to have the installation costs. So what we have learned through the years is sometimes it's a slow walk into the space, and a portable system fills the needs. It generally may not be the best solution for overall even coverage because you're putting in one corner or another corner, multiple corners, as opposed to maybe a centralized solution like our IR-800, but it offers very good, near perfect coverage. So maybe you're 80% of what a fixed solution may offer. But it's affordability. There's no installation costs. And again, if the requirement is not to have Voicelift in every classroom or the facility is testing it, whether it's a school board or a school itself, then again, you can try this in multiple areas because it is advantageous for the instructor, but also very advantageous for the student itself that may have some hearing difficulties. Whether it's engagement or just difficulties with the hearing system. So that brings us to the 842, our portable speaker Voicelift system, and designed to give you that flexibilities. As mentioned, educators are not limited to a certain classroom with certain spaces. So this unit is meant to be conveniently stow and go, move it where you need it. We recognize that designing for a standard classroom is not all-encompassing solution. And that system designed with such a mindset did still offer outliners, different issues, configurations, styles, depending what that room is. We then refocused ourselves. We started a journey that would eliminate some of the issues in a modern day classroom with different needs across the country. Look at the importance of a portable IR system. Sound volume. Intelligibility is key. Sound volume is very minimalistic and a lot in this application. Probably the most common misconception of Voicelift in classroom is that it's a PA system. Check, check, 1, 2, a gym system, robust, big, loud. In essence, it's somewhat the opposite. It's something that should be noticed when it's off, not when it's on. And that's how I would normally demonstrate it and set it up to test. It's not a distraction like a PA system that's big. When I start talking, it's loud. It's something that just fills in without really noticing it. But if you happen to turn that off, you notice, oh, wow, I can't hear as clearly. So it's something where you kind of turn up in the classroom so you just notice it's there and it's starting to fill in, and that's about it. So the intelligibility, which is key with TOA products, is that vocal speech ratings in the middle. This is not designed to be a music, high fidelity, thumping speaker. It's focused on reproduction of the human speech without colorization. So that teacher, Mr. Brown sounds like Mr. Brown. If Mr. Brown gets colored by the audio reinforcement, it's distracting for the students. So we focus really on that intelligibility without colorization of the sound. So intelligibility is key in a standard classroom. Proximity to the speaker does have effect on learning and sound pressure. Students who sit in the front of the class can hear the teacher better than those in the rear, as we talked about. And more important is when that teacher turns around and is writing on the interactive board of that display, or bending down, helping out a student, and they kind of block off their speech path. With this new option, every space can benefit from the advantage of TOA Voicelift system without the need to affix a system directly to the ceiling. Again, that affordability is adding 1 to a school or 3 to a school, moving them around until budget maybe allows to expand them. As an approximate rule of thumb, a basic installed system to a portable system, just MSRP equipment price is probably around a 30% cost savings on a portable system. So that's substantial if you're looking at rolling this out within a school board. With the new system, educators will now always have access to clear projected speech. Again, reducing that speaking fatigue. With controls on the rear of the main unit, configuring the setup is very simple and easy. That takes moments and allows it to be uniquely configured to each space with ease. A lot of the benefits built into this portable solution are derived from our experience with our IR-842 fixed system. So no interference between spaces. It works on infrared IR technology, line of sight, as opposed to RF or UHF. So it's not going through walls and so on. So just like your remote control, it doesn't work through the wall to turn the volume up and down of the TV. So, walls will stop it. Therefore, again, when rolling this out, you could decide to have the microphones live in the classroom, or for sanitary reasons, assign microphones to certain instructors if you're going to have this system in a fixed application. So again, this is my microphone, regardless of what room I go into, which has a TOA IR Voicelift solution. That microphone will then become active. Once they walk out or move around, then it becomes dead. So that's an advantage. The other thing is frequency correlation. There's always noise and interference. People are fighting for the RF space. So you don't have to worry about that if you have a large school with multiple classrooms, 20, 30, and things like that have that requirement for Voicelift. Very high sensitivity and clear sound deliverance. The microphone themselves can be set up for a handheld use or lanyard style. So they have various sensitivity settings. And there's expandability for audio coverage as well as the infrared coverage, depending on the size of the spaces. So there's the first look at our exciting new TOA IR-842. So we have the PMU and the PSU. PMU is a compact, portable, infrared classroom sound field systems. It's designed to be used with our existing TOA IR-200 handheld, 300 lanyard style microphones. So our older version and our newer version existing offerings are compatible with this system. System can also utilize the IR-842 PSU is a sub-unit, so basically an extension speaker. So if we want to do one speaker in the corner, front left and one front right, we can do that and link them together, or maybe we want one in the front and one in the rear of the classroom, depending on what the requirements are of that space. So we do have that option to add additional slave units per se to the system. The IR-842 breakdown, looking at some of the specs. 40 watts output power, so lots of power in a particular system. One thing that we do promote, and we're fairly unique and transparent about it, is the frequency wavelength that we function on. So it's 850 nanometers. There's a lot more technology utilizing infrared in a classroom space. And it's one thing if anybody here is in facilities or engineering, things like that, and you're getting interactive boards, interactive pens, and things like that, that may work off infrared. It's good to know and look at that infrared wavelength in which they function. So we publish ours so you can coordinate the different technologies in the class space that utilize IR. So that's the information on the IR wavelength. There's 2 different channels, so we can have 2 different microphones in the space. For coverage of the IR-842, you're looking at approximately 50 feet. So very strong infrared coverage that bounces on. In a typical classroom, because the surfaces are hard, IR tends to build within the classroom. So it kind of bounces around and covers itself in and paints itself in to give you very good coverage. Although it's in line of sight, it builds up robustly within the space. Going through more features on the audio input side, we have mic control, we have auxiliary input. Bluetooth is built into these units, so you can stream audio from your laptop or video content that you may have. Connection for your subunit to go over to additional coverage if you need. And you have controls for these. So you have the physical connection and the control for those outputs. Again, you could put a hardwired microphone into it, should you wish. And if so, you know, in a teaching space, you may use a condenser microphone, which requires fan and power. That's built into this IR-842 portable system as well. Again, channel volume, so you have easy, simple connection of turning up the channel A or channel B mic, the wired microphone should you choose, your auxiliary in, and Bluetooth. So very simple, turn and go, very simple controls on the rear of the unit once it's mounted, or set on the desk, or potentially maybe even a stand or something like that. Very robust MDF cabinet, so robust, rigid, meant to be moved around, and you know, sometimes we drop things so it can handle a little bit of abuse. We built it that way in TOA fashion to last many, many years. Addition to the 842 is the IR-842R. The IR-842R is an external infrared receiver for the IR-842 system. So this allows you to add extra infrared coverage in certain areas of the classroom. So one area that we notice sometimes we'll see issue with infrared, and it's more of a duration factor, is if we have teachers and instructors that have, you know, the speakers, whether it's our IR-800 installed or a portable, that are mounted, let's say, you know, up in the front of the classroom or center of the classroom or in different areas, and they turn their back to the infrared receiver. So the black circle on the front of the 842, or that goes around our IR-800 system. If they turn and have their back, and they tend to teach with their back to the students and to that for extended periods of time, usually once you get to around 10 seconds without moving around, you'll start to get potentially some dropouts. So it may be, I guess, room related, but it could be teacher style. So we have this option to potentially put an IR-842 receiver, that infrared receiver, up maybe at the very front of class above that interactive display or something like that. So if they do turn their back, you know, to the system itself for extended periods of time, there is still that direct connection from the microphone, which transmits the IR to the IR receiver, which bounces back to the IR main PA system itself, the 842. So that's a nice addition to the system to verify and guarantee IR coverage in various spaces. Again, this will work for the 2 channels that we offer, the A and B channel for the microphones. And this is going to cover approximately 23 feet in radius below the unit, based upon about, you know, a 10-foot ceiling, your typical classroom system. So it covers a large area for infrared coverage. It kind of looks like, you know, a very small kind of dome security camera and things like that. Next, a nice little, you know, accessory to move the unit around is we do have the option for the 842 bag. So it's a large storage bag, robust, easy to carry, padding the strap that you can put all the components in there, the main unit, the power cord, your charging, your microphones, and any other cables you may use, you know, when you're teaching various classes. So all that can pack into this and be moved easily from space to space or facility to facility. For the little options, we do have the speaker stand bracket. So maybe it's a bigger space. Maybe you want something in a smaller cafeteria you can move around, or maybe it's a drama room, or maybe it's on stage. We'll see a lot of facilities using the stage itself in a school gym for teaching and those sort of things. So, it has the option to mount a stand mount on the bottom of the 842, and then you can put that on a speaker tripod and things like that. I don't suggest it being used outside because sunlight can play havoc with IR, but anything that is controlled inside would be a good application. Maybe it's a common cafeteria area or something like that. So it doesn't just have to be a system that's just used in the classroom. It's something that can be used for special events throughout that educational facility. And the speaker options are as below: our IR-200, 300M, and our 310M. So the IR-200 is a handheld form factor, your typical handheld microphone that many are used to using. And again, provinces are different, facilities, school boards, of what form factor they like. So a dedicated handheld, everybody knows how to hold that. Then we have the 300, which is a lanyard style around the neck microphone. And then the 310 can be used either way. So it's the IR-310 is our newest version. So it's a little bit lighter. It's one AA battery instead of two rechargeable AA batteries. And it does have a setting for sensitivity of whether you're using it close as a handheld or maybe, again, hanging down lower. So it has a little bit more flexibility that way. So it's your choice of the existing units we use. And the one thing that's advantageous on utilizing these microphones is that if you have a facility that may have a mix, it may have some installed systems or a need for portable systems. So again, it's the same microphone in use and wearability as whether it's installed or whether it's portable. So that kind of concludes that part of it. We'll get some questions and answers at the end. I'll try. We're excited about that product. Stock we're expecting very, very soon, and it is an offering that we haven't had for a number of years, have that portable solution. So we're very excited about that. And I've had the opportunity to see it and hear it up in our head office, and very impressed with the audio quality of it, and I'm sure you will. And that's something where once we do stock in the coming weeks, feel free to reach out to your RSM for a demo or anything like that to do an assessment of it. It needs to be installed in the space it's going to be used and played with and tested out that way. So we'll have multiple units across the country that are available to get your hands on, whether you're an integrator of ours, bringing it in multiple schools, or facility itself. We can work that out and find a way to get this solution into your hands. So just read some other parts, to keep in mind is that full educational solution that TOA offers. It's probably the most unique thing with TOA is that we are a full solution provider. And in educational space, it encompasses many, many things, from your gym auditory sound. So, specialized ruggedized line arrays for your gym, your wireless microphones, whether it's digital wireless 2.4 or RF, the amplifiers, a whole variety, like I said, of speakers and so on. Maybe it's just kindergarten, so we don't have to go so robust, or maybe it's full on high school where we get basketball game with crowds and tiered seating. So we can scale that depending on what the facility requires. We do wide variety of paging. So whether it's your traditional intercom or general paging push-to-talk microphones, or it's IP, we've recently released a full line of SIP PA audio products, the IP speakers for the facility, or a hybrid of that. We can integrate all these systems together. So whether it's the paging to the gym system to the classroom system, they're all engineered to have that compatibility together. Again, classroom individual sound systems. So we have fixed installed. We can have a single 30 by 30 classroom on the fixed side of things. We can have a larger 30 by 60 classroom fixed. We can do room combining within those solutions. If the room has a divider, up to 4 microphones, so it's very scalable. Or we get into the portable system, single or dual microphone that can be moved from spot to spot. So lots of flexibility in that space, as was just covered. And then we get into campus communication and safety. And there's a wide range of offerings there, from IP intercom, whether it's our standard N8000 proprietary IP systems, or our SIP-based intercom that we keep rolling out more and more within our offering, which does your classroom communications, your bell scheduling, door access, paging, remote broadcast, We also have our TOA alert that gets into the visual notification of system, whether it's life safety, lockdown, flooding, snowstorm, cold weather alerts, things like that. So even the visual side of things interacted with PA and communication and life safety. So any applications on that, please feel to reach out to your TOA RSN locally. So that concludes the webinar for today. Does anybody have any questions? Chris, if you're there, I'm not sure how to unmute everybody here if they're muted, or they probably just unmute themselves.
We got a Q&A, excuse me, voice didn't come to work today. We have a Q&A section up, so we got one from Ben Abrams. Looks like a nice solution to compete against Red Cat product, which my market seems to love. How is it compared to the selling features of Red Cat? Price, it's more price point, MSRP going to go after Red Cat as well.
I think we're very aggressive in the space. I think audio quality, again, maybe a little biased, but you'll be very impressed compared to the Red Cat in the space. So I'd have no hesitation to, one-on-one do a comparison between the two when it comes to the audio quality. And it does have good, decent punch to the low end. So again, when we're getting to a lot more presentation, T-Cent utilize that video component with interactive sound that grabs attention. I think it does shine there on top of its speech reinforcement capabilities. So price point should be right where it needs to be, but we can chat about that and give you an idea what the pricing is.
All right.
So we'll go on to, again, to reiterate, don't feel free to reach out for any questions, and then that's on to, I guess, a draw.
And it is, yeah. So I ran off in the middle and I drew a name. So I did a bit of a, I don't know if that's picking up or drum roll.
Can I win? I like to win.
I don't know if I put your name in the running.
I don't win anything.
But an Alan Gural, if I'm butchering your last name, I do apologize. But you are the winner of the pair of speakers this month.
Woo! So
Alan, or sorry, Al, I was reading it in the chat. We reached out to you shortly after this webinar. We'll see how we can get these out our doors and get them up to yours. Get your color preference, all that. But you must have horseshoes stashed away somewhere. You won this month. And to everyone else, again, we have more webinars slated, and also something quite special slated later on this year that we'll be sharing publicly quite soon. So keep your eyes out for that, with more prizes and such down the line. But that concludes this month's seminar. Thank you to everyone who came out. I hope that it was very informative, very tantalizing to know that there's something right on the horizon for TOA that's going to just really the next step in elevating, I'd say, modern education solutions, teaching, making it a little bit less babysitting, a little bit more educating the youths of today and tomorrow.
Dr. Sound.